All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is February 4th. We got ourselves a Sunday and a jam-packed NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about the games. I'll give you any player props I like in the game as well. But as always, all of my final plays are going to be in the pinned comment. The pinned comment is the comment that's pinned to the top of the comment section. We get that question all the time. But those are all the picks that I do truly love today. So if you guys do want to fade those picks and do the opposite, my final plays will be in the pinned comment. In terms of last night's plays here, kind of a weird one. It was a weird slate yesterday. We had a bunch of unit managements. We had a bunch of 0.5 plays, 0.25 unit plays, full unit plays. We end up going 2-3-1 record wise. The two wins we had were plus money hits, which is nice. But even looking at the recap, we had just one minus money play yesterday in terms of odds. Everything else was plus money. So, and we almost cashed that. Chris Middleton, this was tough. Chris Middleton had 13 points with about a minute and 50 seconds left in the game, right? And I was like, no way he cashes. Then all of a sudden, it's a 2-on-1 fast break. Him and Giannis versus someone on the Mavs. Giannis dishes it to Middleton. Middleton goes up for a nice statement slam, gets rim stuffed. And then he checks out of the game a couple seconds later. So could have been a better night, but coulda, woulda, shoulda. Who cares when it comes to sports betting, right? Either it happened or it didn't, and that was an L. But not the worst night in the world there. But if we want to change the vibe and start talking about some damn positive stuff, Quan cashing yet another, pumping some crowd noise too, ride of the day. Quan has Tyrese Maxey less than 41.5 PRA yesterday. He cashes that one. That is now 4 straight for Quan. Tonight, he has a chance to do the ride of the day and tie the record. Shout out to Fred, the record of the ride of the day with cashes in a row. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, all you have to use is that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. I'm picking one person's play, jumping on board with you, and giving you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. I'm also shouting you out on my Twitter at EvGuyBoston if you guys do want to follow me there. But if you win, we continue to ride with your plays, and it's been 4 nights now riding with Quan, looking for number 5. So yeah, let's see what we got here. Quan, make sure to drop your ride of the day in the comments. Everyone else, drop your ride of the days, because if Quan fails to hit, which he's already made us plenty of money, or he doesn't get his in on time, we're jumping on board with someone else. So use that hashtag ride of the day, and yeah, shout out to Quan. Go tie the record tonight, my man. But let's jump into today's games here. We're starting it off with the Pistons taking on the Magic. Obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but maybe if you don't know, this isn't the best NBA game on today's slate here. We do have Detroit, who is an absolute covering machine, so it makes me want to just lean towards them. They've covered 9 of their last 10 games. They've only won 3 of their last 10, but they've covered 9, and it's because they're getting a lot of double-digit spreads. 5 of their last 10 have been double-digit spreads. 3 straight been double-digit spreads. So yes, I do lean towards them because they're a covering machine. Going up against a Magic team that really has been kind of wishy-washy as of late. They've been good against the spread as well, but as underdogs. But the reason I probably don't make this a final play is because, like I said, Detroit's been getting a lot of double-digit spreads. This 6.5 is not double digits. It's still a sizable amount of points, but it's not the most confident spot we have on today's board. I probably like the over more than I do the spread in this spot, just because Detroit, last 10 games, top 10 pace team here, not playing much defense and scoring, I guess you could say scoring a decent amount of points, right? They've scored 120 in 3 straight games here, and they're allowing plenty of points as well. So I'll lean towards the over probably as my main lean in this spot. And then a player prop I don't mind. We'll jump into Outlier here, guys. If you guys do want to check out Outlier, that link is going to be in the pinned comment. You get 7 days free with Outlier. This is such a good sports betting research tool when it comes to looking at player trends and defenses against and all that stuff, guys. Go check it out. Even if you want to check it out for 7 days and, then be like, all right, whatever. I have a feeling you'll fall in love with it, but yeah, it's 7 days free. You can go and check it out. After that, it's $19.99 a month. A manageable price anyways, right? Go check it out. Read the comments. Everyone talks highly about this product that we push here. So go check it out, guys. Outlier, that link in the pinned comment. But we're looking at Jaden Ivey over 17.5 points plus assists. Now, Cade Cunningham, obviously back now, or actually he's a game time decision today, so if he doesn't play, I like this even more. But even with Cade playing 30-plus minutes last game, Jaden Ivey went for 28 points and 3 assists. What I like about this is he's averaging about 6 potential assists per game. So he should have a floor of 3 assists, right? And then you scroll down, he's shooting 15.2 attempts per game in his last 10. Yes, he has his little down periods here, but he'll have games where he shoots 20 times. Hopefully we get one of those today. The Magic are a good defense against that shooting guard position, so that is kind of like, I guess, against what we're looking at. But look at this. This opened up at 18.5, right? Went to 17.5, then went to 18.5 again, back down to 17.5. I wouldn't be surprised if this is 18.5 by game time. So we might jump on this, but keep an eye on the pinned comment. Like I said, this is not my favorite game on this NBA slate, and we have enough games that we can be kind of picky today, right? We don't need to force anything. Not that we ever should, but we definitely don't need to force anything today. So keep an eye on the pinned comment. Next up, we have Washington getting 13 points at home against the Suns here. Washington coming off a 110-102 loss against Miami. We were on the right side with the under in that game. Phoenix coming off of a loss against Atlanta. Also, we didn't make it a final play, but we're on the right side of sniffing out Atlanta in that spot. They lose. Phoenix loses 129-120 here. I know it's a huge number, but I think this Phoenix team matches up fairly well against this Atlanta team to some degree. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to make it a final play in terms of a 13-point win, and you have the added fact that, mid-December these two teams played, and it was a 4-point game, but I think that this Phoenix team probably bounces back after that Atlanta win and takes this dub. 13 points is a lot, but I'm going to lean it. It definitely is too much probably to make its way into a final play. A spot that I really don't mind in this game is going to be the under. We've been taking Washington unders lately. They've cashed, I think it's, yeah, here it is. They've cashed 8 unders of their last 10 games, and they've cashed 7 straight unders. So yes, the tides have to turn at some point, but they're playing with a fast pace, I guess, but really not efficient whatsoever. Like, this is a team that their field goal percentage is middle of the pack, whereas they're shooting more times than damn near 25 teams in the NBA, right? So it's like, yeah, they're not playing that efficient, and they're not taking many threes, which obviously that means that they're scoring 2-pointers. By the way, that's one less than a 3-pointer. So yeah, I think that this is a team in which is going to come into Phoenix, and not that the Phoenix defense, I would say, has been substantially better than they were or anything like that, but this should be a game that I think slows down a hair. So I'm not saying this is going to be a 2 like the Miami game that they just played 110-102. We kind of spotted that Miami would slow that pace down, right? I think Phoenix slows this down just a little bit. Phoenix just outside, kind of middle of the pack in terms of pace. But yeah, 237 just seems a little bit too high for me. I think this finishes maybe at like 231, something like that. So yeah, there's a decent amount of margin there. So give me the under in this spot. Player prop wise, I dug this morning. Nothing jumps off the page to me. Maybe, just maybe, we could consider, a Durant or Booker PRA under because their lines are super high. And if we think this game goes under, obviously that line is based on what this total has to do with it too. But nothing really that I'm loving there from a player prop perspective. And I'm not going to blow smoke up here, you know what I mean? So nothing really I'm loving from a player prop perspective in this game. All right, we thought 13 points was a lot. Oh, brother. Celtics laying 18 points at the house here, taking on Memphis. I'm as big of a Celtics fan as they come, right? But I can't look at this and say, give me the 18-point spread. You are absolutely crazy, and you deserve the psycho alert alarm if you're confident in an 18-point spread. I don't care if it's the Celtics playing, a G League team. I mean, maybe they would beat him by 18, but you know what I mean? Like, that is such a damn big number. So I'll lead Memphis here, plus the 18 points. Do I love doing that? No. Do I think the Celtics win this game? Yes. It just comes down to that being a really, really high number. But there could be blowout potential there. Obviously, Vegas believes it, and I don't really mind looking. And by the way, this started at, I think it was opened up at 16.5. So, like, it opened up at the highest, one of the highest spreads here, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, we're going to make this even bigger. So Vegas obviously thinks this is a blowout, but with the blowout in mind, I do think that this has a chance to be, an under type of a game where Memphis kind of quits and the Celtics, just kind of coast. So yeah, I'll take the under 219.5. That's now a low number. So you have two numbers here, the spread as well as a total that really, really, I guess, kind of stink. to be honest, right? Not the best number. So I doubt we make either one of these a final play. There is a pick here from a player prop perspective. Let's jump back into Outlier that I do think has a very strong chance of being a final play, and it's Derek White over 1.5 steals plus blocks. So what I love about this spot is Derek White is one of the best shot blocking guards in the entire league, and he's a great defender as well. You can see what he's done in his last 10. Like, this guy has been crushing this number here. He's hit it 9 of his last 10 games, even when he plays a low minute allotment, which is what we may expect against this Memphis team. He's been cashing. He's hit it in 76% of games this season, and we're getting decent odds. I mean, yes, minus 145 is fairly juiced, but look at DraftKings at minus 145, Caesars and BetMGM in the minus 150. So give me Derek White here over 1.5 steals plus blocks. I like this play a lot tonight. All right, we got Charlotte taking on the Pacers, and I'll tell you right up the jump here, I don't think that this is a great number to be laying as the Pacers, and you're sure as hell not going to catch me laying the points with Charlotte. Charlotte got a boatload of points against OKC last game. They got, I think it was 15 it closed at, but it started at 16, opened up maybe at 16.5, something like that, and they ended up losing by 20 points. Indiana, though, you know, this is the team that just has been struggling. 3 straight losses, 2 straight losses against the spread. You can make the argument they're playing good teams, though, and they've obviously kind of had the injury bug, but they've gone Boston, New York, and Sacramento, right? And now they're on the road again. This is the first, actually, I think this is only like a 1-game road trip, then they have a couple games at home, but nonetheless, it just seems like it's a little bit too many points to lay as Indiana. If I had a gun to my head, which good thing I don't, I do think I lean Indiana just because Charlotte has been so non-trustworthy, but it's not something that I'm loving. I don't mind taking a peek at the under. I know we've leaned a decent amount of unders in today's video, but this Indiana team, you know, as crazy as it is, they're not playing with as fast of a pace as they were at the beginning. They're still a very fast team and playing with a good pace, hence their name, but Charlotte's also playing very, very slow. So I do think that this one kind of slows down a little bit. But honestly, my favorite spot in this game is going to be Miles Bridges, and we're fading him. We're taking this under 39.5 points, rebounds, and assists. My one concern here, and it's actually not my one concern, but if we group it into an umbrella sort of an idea here, he has so much volume, shooting, potential assists, potential rebounds. He is getting more than enough of those to cover this line, which makes it a little worrisome. But this is a Pacers team that, you know, yeah, they're not great defensively anywhere on the floor, but since Pascal Siakam has gotten there, like, Pascal Siakam's been playing some good power forward defense, so I don't really mind that matchup, and maybe he makes it a little bit tough for them. And like I said, here we go. Since Pascal Siakam arrived on the Pacers, they are allowing the 5th fewest points to power forwards. They're allowing the fewest rebounds to power forwards. And then assists-wise, they're allowing, I believe it is like the 8th fewest or something like that, maybe the 7th fewest to power forwards. So yeah, I think this could be a good matchup. Bridges did play Indiana in late December through, I think he only played like, I think he played a lot of minutes actually, so maybe it wasn't a minutes thing, but he finished with 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. Well under this mark. Way different Charlotte team then, right? Because some guys are still playing and whatnot. It's like pretty much him and almost like it's him in the Brandon Miller show right now. So it's tough to take his under, but that is probably my favorite look in this game. And plus, scared money don't make money, right? All right, we got Miami taking on the Clippers here. As good as the Clippers are and as good as they have been, and you guys know, like, I consider myself someone that was early to the Clippers train, right? Now they're kind of considered, obviously, one of the better teams, or at least have been playing as one of the better teams in the entire league here. As good as that is, and as much as I like the Clippers, I think it's a little fishy as to why this spread is coming in at just 4, to be completely honest. So part of me wants to lean towards Miami. I don't think I'm going to be able to get myself there. We just saw about a month ago the Clippers took Miami out back. You know what I mean? Like 121 to 104. So, like, they showed that they could do it, but that was in LA. This is now in Miami, and this is a Clippers team that, you know, on the road here, on the season, they've covered in 55% of their games, so above average, right? On the road, they've covered in just 50% of their games, so it's a little worrisome, but I'm going to say it's a little worrisome, right? It's not something that maybe talks me off of it. I will just say there is a little bit of trap chance here, so I'm still going to lean Clippers, but we have to consider that smelling like a trap, because I would say this is much like that Atlanta and Suns spread a couple nights ago, right? It's like Phoenix is playing better basketball. Why is Atlanta, just getting 3 points? And this could be a similar type spot. Miami has won just 3 games in their last 10. They have won 2 straight, but one of those games is against Washington, and the Clippers are just playing good basketball and against spread basketball. So as weird as it is, I am going to lean towards the Clippers, but I might end up just laying that as a lean or leaving it as a lean because of the reading this line here. Now, the total sitting at 225. Neither one of these teams play super slow, but I do think that there are some matchup advantages. For example, Miami may give the Clippers a little trouble in the paint. As good as the Clippers are covering in the paint, I do think that the dynamic ability of Bam Adebayo could kind of disrupt that. And not to say that, we're looking at Bam Adebayo over tonight. I don't really love that, but I do think that that can kind of make Miami's defense collapse. And then in terms of just the corner threes and in the paint for the Clippers, I don't think Miami's going to have the best sort of answer for that, which, kind of results in some buckets being scored. So I'm looking at the over in this spot as well. In terms of a player prop, I really don't mind Paul George over 18.5 points. I feel like this is a slight buy low spot for him. He's hit this in 3 straight games against Miami, including that game that we talked about in early January here. He hit 23 points here. He had shot the ball 14 times, which is the lowest amount in his last 3 games against Miami, and shot 7 of 14, made 50% there. But what's really interesting is that he shot a boatload of threes against Miami team. So 14 field goal attempts. He shot 8 threes, which, yes, Paul George loves shooting the 3 ball anyways. We know that, but Paul George leads this team in corner 3 attempts over the last 10 games, and he's shooting them at a 56% clip rate, hit rate. If you look at this Miami defense, really bad when it comes to corner 3. So yeah, I like Paul George in this spot to go over 18.5. I would consider his threes number, but 2.5 for minus, so it was like minus 125. It didn't really tickle my fancy, so I'll probably just look at his points number. But keep an eye on the pinned comment to see what we roll with. Like I said, this seems like it's a good betting game, but it's a little trappy, a little fishy to me. All right, real quick, guys, before we do jump into the rest of the games, I did want to shout out a new drop that we had over on the Fade Me store, the wall tag collection. It just comes in a hoodie and a tee, but kind of like a graffiti look here. Go check it out, fademe.store. This is a great way to support what we're doing here. If you've been rocking with us and liking the growth and liking all of the new content and just consistent content, because that's something that I hang my hat on, the consistent content that we're bringing here, consider supporting us by picking up some merch. This stuff is great quality. I'm wearing the Parlay All Days tee right now, which you can also find on the store, but wanted to kind of highlight our new drop that we did. I think that is a fresh design. Really loving it. You get the Fade Me kind of gradient design with the splatter in the background. Go check it out, guys. I think right now we're sitting at the tee with $25 and the hoodie at $40, but both are well worth it. Go check it out, guys. Fademe.store. Just wanted to take a quick second to shout out something that we just dropped yesterday, and it took a lot of work to bring this to life, and very proud and happy that we did. Fademe.store. Go check it out. Minnesota taking on the Rockets. Minnesota at home, Rockets on the road. That is a very important piece of information for both teams, because this is a Minnesota team that on the road this season has been not as trustworthy as we'd like, but at home has been very trustworthy. And then you have a Rockets team who has very much struggled on the road this season. 5-16 straight up, 9-12 against the spread. They've covered just 40% of their games. So give me the Minnesota Timberwolves here at home. I do think that this is obviously a Rockets team that has potential, is decent, but we've been fading them on the road all year long. If you guys have been following along, that's been something that just is kind of profitable, like, to be completely honest, obviously. And I just told you the against the spread and straight up spots here, right? So give me Minnesota in this spot at home. I do like them, way better than they're on the road. And luckily enough for us tonight, they are on at home here. Now, Rudy Gobert's in the injury report, so that could be a huge blow here. If Rudy Gobert is out, I like the over. I kind of like the over even if he is in. This thing's sitting at 221.5 right now. I could see this being somewhat of an up-tempo game after Minnesota really struggled to score against Orlando, and Orlando won that game outright as 7-point dogs. I could see Minnesota kind of bouncing back with a decent offensive game. And this Houston defense on the road this year, like I keep telling you guys, this Houston defense really not all that great when it comes to being on the road. They allow about, I think it's like 5 to 8% more points. So, if you're considering 100 points or 110 or so, like, they're allowing, 8 more points per game when on the road than they are at home, which is a at this point in the year, that's a decent enough sample size to say, okay, this defensive team on the road is not all that great. Defensive efficiency drops like crazy when they're on the road as well, so Minnesota shouldn't have that much trouble scoring. And in terms of a player prop, so I like the over. In terms of a player prop, I got a plus money play that I like, and it is going to be a plus. Like, this is a flyer again. We gave you a couple of those yesterday. Kobe White ended up cashing for us, so that was nice to see. But this is a spot that he's only hit this line 3 times in his last 10, once in his last 5. I'm looking at Karl Anthony Towns over 2.5 3-pointers made. Now, we're barely getting the quantity of shots for this, right? Like, he's only shooting 6 threes per game. He'd have to be a 50% shooter, which, by the way, he's shooting 49% on the year, kind of swayed by that, crazy high-scoring night where he went 10 of 15 from 3. But nonetheless, for plus 134 odds, I do think that this has some value, and that's over on FanDuel right now. So, yeah, I'm leaning towards maybe throwing a half unit, quarter unit on that. This is and the reason being, this Rockets team really struggles with above the break threes, and wouldn't you know it there, Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards, the 2 guys that shoot a bunch of above the break threes. And you're probably thinking, okay, well then why aren't you rolling with Anthony Edwards? I just don't know if this is I don't want to throw a full unit on a play here that is, to me, still a toss-up, right? Like, Anthony Edwards' line is 2.5, and he's only hit this in, 4 of his last 9 games or so. Like, both of these guys, not to say that they shoot the same volume, but have the same chance of hitting 3 threes tonight, in my opinion. Why wouldn't I go with the plus money guy, the plus 140-ish guy, over the minus 125 spot for Anthony Edwards? So that's why I kind of say, okay, Karl Anthony Towns instead of Anthony Edwards. Hopefully that makes sense. OKC taking on Toronto. There are some injuries to note on the Toronto side of things. I guess the main one being RJ Barrett. He is questionable. He's been out for 3 games, I believe. We have Williams out for OKC, and then Terrence Mann is questionable, or Trey Mann, excuse me, questionable in this spot. I don't know if the injuries are going to really impact my spread pick. I really don't mind looking at OKC in this spot. They've won 2 straight games, covered their last game against Charlotte, and that's what I gave them credit for, right? Yes, they should beat up on Charlotte, but they beat them by 20 points, so honestly, not the worst look for them. So I'll lay the points with them. They are at home here too. This is a Toronto team that has struggled this season on the road, just covering 50% of their games, so very much a toss-up, going up against an OKC team who's covered 68% of their games at home this season. So yeah, I like that spot. In terms of a total, 238.5, this kind of correlates with my player prop, which we'll just talk about one in the same. I like 2 unders. The under in this game, and Psycho alert alarm, the under for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 33.5 points. Now, if we jump into outlier here, this is obviously a risky pick in the first place. But outlier, you can see he's hit this in 9 of his last 10 games, going up against the point guard position, or going up against Toronto, who play well defensively against that point guard position. 3rd fewest points allowed to the PG this season. In their last 7, they've dropped to like 7th or 8th, which is still, top 10, top 3rd of the league. But what I like here is the fact that he's just been trending under, and 34 points is asking a lot out of a guy in a spot in which this could even become a blowout type of game, especially if I like the under in this game as well, less points to go around. Now, the one thing, and I obviously want to show you guys the data and obviously show you guys what we have, he shoots way too many times to be considering an under like this, right? We're still doing it, but it's kind of crazy. That's why we sounded the Psycho alert alarm. And look at how close he gets to that number no matter what. Like, he's not going to get shut down today. Now, he has had a couple bad games against Toronto, but, from a minutes perspective, 28 minutes in this one, that's nothing. 34 in this one, that's kind of nothing as well. Look at his minutes per game. He's averaging 34 minutes per game this season. So he played his average amount of minutes and came up just shy as well. But again, I do think that this is risky because he finishes right under this line when he doesn't catch. But it is still asking a hell of a lot for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to drop 34 points in a game in which, one, I think the Thunder handle this team, decently. I lay the Thunder minus the 8.5, and I like the under in this spot. If I have the game script wrong in this dumb old brain, then no kidding, Shai's probably going to drop 50. But I kind of like Shai's under in tonight's slate. It's a risk, but we're sports betting. All right, Utah taking on the Bucks. Utah at home here. Bucks coming off of a back-to-back. But Utah's favored in this spot, and I don't know if I love that spot for them. You guys could call me crazy. I know the Bucks have been terrible against the spread this season, but they've actually, I don't want to say they've actually started to look better. They looked okay last night, right? They beat Dallas by 12 points. Now, again, last night is very important here. They are on a back-to-back, big but, on the season here, they've covered in 57% of their back-to-back. So I don't mind Milwaukee kind of come into play today. Sort of the adversary here would be the Utah has covered in over 70% of their games at home this year, so they're at home right now. But this Utah team, like, they've been kind of unpredictable as of late. The problem with saying that as of late has been on the road for them mostly. They are at home now. So yeah, I could see someone being on Utah's side of things, especially with them being favored in this. It's like Vegas knows exactly what they're doing. But give me the Bucks here to win pretty much. This is a pick'em type of a game. I don't mind looking at Milwaukee. Total sitting at 246.5. I think I got to look at the over. This Milwaukee team's obviously going to play with good pace. We know the Utah is going to up the tempo as well. This should be a fast-paced game, and using that back-to-back sort of data here for the Bucks, they've covered the over in 86% of games that they've been on back-to-backs this season. So really don't mind that spot. Now, a player prop that I like, and unfortunately, this player prop has now become sort of a flyer pick instead of a lock pick, but we're looking at Brook Lopez over 2.5 3-pointers made. It was 1.5 and it has been 1.5. We loved it at 1.5 yesterday. It was one of my favorite plays on the slate. Minus 117 for over 1.5. He's hit in 3 straight games. Then he gets ruled out. And if you guys don't realize, every time I love a player's 3-pointers made line, they get ruled out. Like, I don't know what my jinx is here, but they've now bumped this to 2.5, which rightfully so. He's been cashing it, but it's plus 150, so it could be another flyer spot. I don't think that it's something that I am really confident in and want to pull the trigger on. I wish this was 1.5 at manageable odds because I like him to make 2. But I'll go ahead and lean towards the over just because I do think that the volume has been there. Like his last 3 games here, 9, 9, 10 3-point attempts. He's a 34% shooter, so he could still make 3, but we're going to need that volume to make 3. So buyer beware on that one there. All right, last but not least, we got Denver taking on Portland. But if you guys made it this far into the video, make sure you go ahead and comment 26. You're about to hit the 26-minute mark. Thank you guys so damn much for the support. If you're still watching this, you deserve to hear that thank you. So go ahead and comment 26 if you made it this far into the video. Right now, we got Denver sitting at 13.5 point favorites at home, taking on the Portland Trailblazers. Total sitting at 220.5. We'll start with a total. I like the over here. It's probably the only, I think, thing that I really could see myself pulling the trigger on in this game. We saw this game be near blowout last game, and it still hit the over 220. We had the under 221, but watching that game, I do think that there's a little bit more sort of, hot knife going through hot butter, whatever the saying is for Denver, scoring on this Portland team. So yeah, I like the over again in this spot. Last game was 120 to 108, FYI. And I guess I lean towards Denver, but it's not something that I'm going to be putting, my money on. This is a Portland team that now has seen Denver and is getting 14 points, 13.5 points, like a little bit too much. So I'll lean towards the over, but that's probably about it. From a player prop perspective, Malcolm Brogdon over 5.5 assists, potentially. We leaned his under 6.5 assists last time out. That cashed. Now his line is to 5.5. I like the over because I do like this guy to get like 6 assists per night, right? So give me a Malcolm Brogdon's over an assist, but I don't think that that's something that I'm all that loving and potentially makes its way into final play. But we'll see. I've done crazier, so keep an eye on the pinned comment. That's gonna wrap for today, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy the show. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Again, I already said thank you, but I cannot thank you guys enough for all the recent support and everything like that. We got some big news coming as well, and come March, we're gonna have even more content on the channel. So very excited for that. And we'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.